Hey guys, welcome to Automation Ladies. This is the first official episode of season 6. I think in my last recording I said season 5 because I forget how many seasons we have. But yeah, this is just us today. Nikki, Allie, Courtney. Hi Courtney, hi Allie.
Hello.
Hola.
Hola. So we figured we would do one episode to start the season to catch up with everybody before we proceed with our regularly scheduled lots of guests that we have planned. Which thankfully we have a great waiting list of people that we've been wanting to talk to since we decided to take a break at the end of last year. But since we have taken such a long break and we've had lots of changes and things happen, and we've attended events and done cool stuff together, I thought, why don't we take an episode to catch up with Allie and Courtney? We can pretend that they're the guests today. Since if you listened to my little 30-minute monologue of last week's episode, I tried to give a little intro and a little update as to what I've been up to. And apologies for that not being a produced episode. It was just straight from my phone. But now we are working with Industry Sage Media. So hopefully this sounds decent. It'll be produced by the time you hear it. So thank you, dear listeners, for being here for Automation Ladies. Hey, I want to take a quick break from today's episode to mention our sponsor, Automate. It's coming up soon, and you know you have to be there. We're always there. It's going to be amazing. It's the biggest automation party of the year. You got robots, cobots, motion, vision tech, AI, you name it. All the cool stuff is going to be in one place for you to come see. Plus, lots of great companies and people to connect with, including us. So why don't you head over to automate.org, get your tickets, and we'll see you there. Allie, you want to go first? What has been going on? Where are you? What are you up to?
So I moved PCE to Texas, but it kind of looks like I abandoned PCE, but I didn't. PCE is kind of like being absorbed / integrated into Kraken, and then I'm gonna help so we're gonna become like the government contracts division, because that's what we really do. And that's our strength right now is, the people that I have, Sithara and Courtney in Washington, my engineers kind of are trained and they know how to handle, our government customer. And we do SCADA for them. And so, yeah, I came over here. We're going to expand. They have a shop and we're going to, make it UL certified. I've done that before. I can do UL 508A and 698A. And actually, I'm kind of interested in, I think, UL 1205, which is explosion proof stuff, because I never got the training for that, but I have the intrinsically safe one, and I kind of want both so that we can produce, we can offer both. But yeah, anyway, that's what I'm kind of doing over here. So that's why I've been kind of posting as Kraken. And there's a lot of like play on words with Kraken. So there's release the Kraken.
Yes.
And then there's let's get Kraken. And I'm using both of them because I like them. And like everybody loves the octopus. I don't know. I'm getting a lot of compliments for that. They're like, okay, that's pretty cool. And even me, like, I think it's pretty cool. I told Cindy, one of the owners, that like if it wasn't purple, like I probably wouldn't even be there. But yeah, it speaks to me. I told them that like purple is the color of transformation, which I didn't even know until I went to Mexico and on a retreat and like learned about chakras and all kinds of stuff and like colors and meaning behind that stuff. And I really like the color purple. I always wondered why we liked purple so much, because like Automation Ladies is purple and like OT SCADA CON is purple. And I really like this place being purple because I don't know, spiritual like that, whatever. So yeah, I just moved here. We filled a 26-foot truck. I got it from Home Depot. I thought I only needed a 22-foot truck, and God was like, haha, you're silly. And then he made it so that there was no 22-foot truck, and I only could take a 26-foot truck, which we filled to the brim and still threw crap away. So you really do need to listen to when God's talking to you, because stuff happens and he's just trying to say something, right? When something breaks, it might be because, I don't know, you're not supposed to use that thing, or I don't know.
Yeah.
There's things that happen, or like, you can't get a ride somewhere and your car broke. It's like, well, maybe you're not supposed to go anywhere. So I'm starting to listen to God more, because like I'm seeing that he's trying to talk and say stuff. But yeah, that's what I'm up to. I, like many others, are trying to get Courtney Fernandez to move here. I did end up, I'm sure she's sick of the pressure. But yeah, it's just, you can get, more, you can get more house for your money. You can get a lot more everything for your money here. And, she's got a skill that we need. And like, I don't know, we want her more than California. We'll see. We'll see what we can do. But like, yeah, that's that's where she's from. That's her home. So it's not an easy sell, obviously. But let's see what happens. Like, I think if we
And
could
with
just
kids,
convince her that,
it's
like,
harder.
yeah, oh, absolutely. But yeah, so I'm making a list to try to convince her daughter Rose to accept our proposal to move that family here, because she's going to be the hardest sell. I don't even think it's going to be Albert. Like,
And we're
Albert's
gonna
be
need to
like,
win over
whatever.
the whole family. I think you're right. Hey, I want to take a quick break from today's episode to mention our sponsor, Automate. It's coming up soon, and you have to be there. We're always there. It's going to be amazing. It's the biggest automation party of the year. You got robots, cobots, motion, vision tech, AI, you name it. All the cool stuff is going to be in one place for you to come see. Plus, lots of great companies and people to connect with, including us. So why don't you head over to automate.org, get your tickets, and we'll see you there.
I think everyone will follow if we can
you're
get
right
Rose,
about
though.
who's going to be the hardest sell.
I think she's the hard sell, and I think if we can get her like happy. I was like, does she like horses? Like, we'll figure it out. Like, and NASA's here. Maybe she thinks that's cool. I don't know.
We'll
But
give
yeah.
it a shot. We got to try a visit and just show her all
Yeah.
the cool stuff.
Yeah.
We'll start with
come
that.
visit and see what you think. Yeah.
Start with that.
So I went on a sales call. I don't know. Cindy was smart. She was like, "Hey, come show me your HMIs."
She
To
told
get
me
me
about this strategy too. She was
She's
intentional.
clever.
Yeah.
She's a clever lady, which I think is why we all like her. In addition to being clever, lots of other good things. But I also I loved the vibe there. It drew me in. The Kraken logo and the fact that it's purple, and the fact that one of your engineers, Courtney, has like made a bunch of paintings with octopi, I guess is how you say that, on it. That I just
Yeah, she has like an
no
octopus
kidding.
tattoo.
So I was just like, there's invisible connections being made here. And I remember just as soon as I left there, I had to call you and be like, hey, I just visited this place. And I think, whatever, you're going to want to meet them.
It was too good
And
to be
then,
true, and
yeah,
I
you
was just
came
like
here.
really weary because of the way that you like how happy you were with it. I was just like, I was scared genuinely. I was like, no, like, because I've seen this before, and
you've
like
been in Texas
I've been
for like
burned.
a week.
Yeah.
This
Yeah,
has
I
all
know.
happened in the span of like a week.
I know. And it's been nuts. Like I was in Alabama, Birmingham, Alabama, right? Yeah, for like a couple of days. And I feel like you just grabbed a new job while I was in Alabama. And it's awesome. And I'm really happy for both of you, because not that you didn't have part of moving down here was to get in, do something new, expand PCE's business, get into oil and gas applications. And I think this is a really exciting and fantastic way to get that started. Like kick it off literally. What, like you came here on a Friday and you started on the Monday? Like that's insane in a good way.
Yeah, she had me come to dinner on a Monday, and I started on a Tuesday. Yeah. She's like, so what do you think? And I was
Okay,
like,
there we go.
okay. And she's like, is that it? Like, what's the counter? And I was like, I don't know, I'm good.
Yeah, I like the first thing you said.
I was like, oh, looks
It
good.
must have been good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Although
It was
maybe in the
weird.
future we should negotiate more, but I think sometimes something is just handed to you that you want. And we've obviously, all of us, I think, have worked really hard, and we've struggled through a lot of stuff in our careers, and we're starting to manifest a lot of what we want, and that feels really good. Like, and I'll just say, I guess, I manifested two best friends by making this podcast, and then I managed to manifest a across the street neighbor by sending you an insane text middle of last year with a picture of the house across the street from me going, I think you're going to live here one day. Like a total weirdo. And it happened. So
what do you think the lotto numbers are going to be? Just curious.
I should start to find other things to manifest. Yeah, maybe ones that actually make me wealthy. That would be cool. But I'm really happy with my I don't know, my mental health riches at the moment. I feel like I'm in a really good place, and I've had
That's
a really
huge
great
for
opportunity
everyone, for anyone.
since transitioning from my last job at QuoteBeam, which I loved, and I loved working with that team, but I kind of also knew that it wasn't going to be forever. And so the timing worked as such that we parted ways close to the end of last year. And I was definitely on like a burnout path with that. Not that it was in any way their fault. It was just it was a big job, and I had a lot of other big things going on at the same time. And I was on a call earlier today, or like a session, like a mastermind session with Emily Honor Hubbard from Empathic Engineering, and we will hopefully have her on as a guest this season, but talking about ADHD at work and what a superpower it can be, but also like some of the challenges, right, that are associated with that. And the ability to jump on big ideas and start executing things is kind of one of those things that is associated with that a lot of the time. And so I've started to like learn more about myself and why we do things, why I do things maybe. But that was pretty cool. And the tendency to start too many projects and they get overwhelmed is something that's really common with that. And so I no longer feel like it's just a me thing. Like, oh, I have this huge problem of like wanting to do all the things all the time and it's just a personal flaw. It's now I understand a little bit more. There's people out there like me that do that, and we tend to excel a lot, but we also like can overload ourselves extremely and get burned out. So finding a balance somehow, somewhere. But I think a big part of that is having a team, right? That can run with some of your ideas and close them. So you can keep bringing in new ideas, keep, doing really cool things. If you're surrounded by a team that can help you execute those things, you're less likely to get overwhelmed. Which is why I love that, we have, as Automation Ladies, as the show, we have now a little bit more of a infrastructure with Industry Sage Media, so they can handle some of the day-to-day podcast stuff, help us do this, right? We get to show up, we get to record, and then they, can publish it and stuff like that. And then we can do more of the peripheral things that Automation Ladies loves to do, like more live demos this year. I want to see more tech demos on LinkedIn, and I want to have more panel discussions. So we're going to be doing more cybersecurity stuff this year with Ashley. Maybe having some more correspondence with different industry expertise than we do, right? Between the three of us.
Right.
But anyway, that's enough on my side. Courtney, you want to give us a clue as to what you're up to? Because I know you've got all sorts of things cooking as well.
Oh,
over there in California, even though we're trying to get you out of there.
It's a love-hate relationship in California, and just with the year we've had and the costs in California being just what they are, it's not always as much love as say previous years.
Yeah.
But California's always treated me good.
It's a beautiful place for sure.
Pay a lot of gas. Yeah,
it is.
I pay too much in gas and too much in rent and too much. I just pay too much. That's just all it is.
It's just too darn expensive.
I love Tennessee. I love Texas. I love, the South in general. There's a lot of places I would love to move to, and every single one of them are like, God, just no.
Don't come here from California.
Please don't do it. I promise I have guns. I swear. I'm not back California. And it's getting expensive here. And I'm getting more and more open to it, every year. But the hardest, like Ellie said, the hardest sell is going to be my daughter Rose. She loves it. Loves her friends here.
And you do live in a beautiful place. I mean, when we visited you last year during Automation Fair, getting to stay, at your place, seeing your neighborhood, the walk to school. I don't
super
blame her,
diverse.
I don't blame you for loving it. Yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot of stuff I
Houston's
love
really
about
diverse.
California. Yeah, Houston seems really diverse, and Houston seems to have really good food. That's my big thing is California keeps me stuck with sunshine and really good food.
Yeah, we have both of those, although they're not exactly the same.
Yeah, it's like different flavors of each, the sunshine and the food, but it's.
Yep.
I do enjoy actually like traveling and coming home, and both sides of it. I'm open to the idea at this point in my life, but we'll see.
I wonder if they have Coco Ichibanya in Texas.
Oh, is there one?
I don't know. That would be cool.
Know. I would have to look that up.
Well, let's just find what's the closest thing.
I have one more point on the Sell Me Born.
Ooh, let's find Japanese curry in Houston.
The best curry ever. But
yeah, like you found, Allie, we've got like a million pho places within a 5-mile radius of my house.
I love pho.
Sushi, pho, Thai, Indian. It doesn't matter. Yeah, ramen. All of the foods from all of the people.
I have not looked for Japanese curry.
Yeah, let's look
Yeah,
for
I've
that.
never been as open to it as I have been recently, just because the personal life roller coaster is getting the ride's getting like crazy bumpy, and I'm not the only one on it anymore. So it always
No.
kind of makes me step back and be more cautious than I would have when I was younger. I mean, I don't want to delve too far into it. We lost a couple of pets, and like it was hard on the family for a little bit. And then you guys sent me that cool video from Bam. That was like, I feel like that video is genuine when his
Yes, I think, I
wife,
mean, I did not expect that.
yeah, like when his wife jumped in and was talking about like the dog. I was like, this is, yeah. So they sent me like a really cool cameo video where Bam Margera like sent his condolences about my pit bull, and that was really cool because I know for a lot of people it's just a dog, but like that dog was my best friend for, you know, almost 13 years. And like there's like a lot of stuff that suddenly changes, you know, when you like you grieve him almost like you would grieve, you know, a human family member. So there's like a lot of
Yeah.
stuff missing, and it leaves a cavity, and like everything was still piling up. So you know, it's like it's one, it's an unexpected cost, and then you know, an unexpected time suck, and then you can't just go back to functioning like normal. So like, you know, just stuff just keeps piling up. So at some point, you know, things got far enough behind, you know, at work that I started actually considering all options. And it's not all bad, because sometimes when bad stuff's happening, it makes you more open to the possibilities around you. And
Mhm.
so like I started trying to see, you know, other opportunities wherever I could, because the only other option is to just sit there and be sad and get deeper into debt. So like you got to start, you know, trying to see these things that maybe you wouldn't see before. And I don't like survival mode, but it does make you very creative.
Mhm.
So seeing, you know, I don't want to overshare another colleague's situation, but you know, a big space became open, you know, for me and Greg, and it's like right at the right time where we were talking about Empire Automation and Automation Excellence Center, and these basically these ideas where we could showcase hardware and also be more about like education and giving back to the community. And that's kind of something that Greg and I are both about. Something that came up literally right around the same time. We were traveling to Azaril, and we were
Yep.
talking to them about this other group that I can't recall the name of right now. Maybe one of you guys do, on the East Coast, that's doing something kind
Yeah,
of.
no, I don't remember their name at the very moment either, but they're a systems integrator that has a space that they're used for community education, for showcasing, and they got a system from Azrael for this reason to put it in there. And then we brought it up, right? When we were there, and they're like, "Oh yeah, we've done a thing like that with somebody else. Like this concept exists, although not exactly the same as yours, but pretty close." And they were like, "Yeah, we're in." So it's crazy how, yeah, sometimes you're,
The timing is weird. Maybe I
yeah.
wouldn't have noticed that or thought of that, or I don't know, because I put things out there. I take note of your mastery of manifestation. So I've just gotten more vulnerable lately. I'm like, I'm just gonna say the things, you know, and you could just shoot me. People could shoot me down, or I could just
Yeah.
shoot myself down and never say it. So yeah,
There's, I
put
guess,
stuff out
two
there.
schools of thought for to that sort of thing. Some people say like don't ever tell anybody about your thing until you're done with it and ready and like it's done,
Move in
because people will
silence.
doubt you or drag you
I can't
down or
handle that.
whatever.
I don't do that.
Whereas I think we have the opposite mentality where like tell everyone, and that'll force us to make it happen. And then sometimes it doesn't, like last year I was on a live stream with Megan and some people, and they were like, "What do you have, for this year?" And I just threw this out there. I was like, "We're going to have a podcast studio, a physical podcast studio by the end of the year." And I just said that out loud, and I was like, "I'm going to commit to this. I'm going to make it happen." And that's one of the things I didn't manifest last year at all. But at the same time, I think it probably wasn't meant to be, because it doesn't necessarily make sense in how we do the podcast. Like, what would I sit in this podcast studio and our guests would just be phoning it in like on the Zoom, or in this case, like StreamYard or whatever? Like, then what's the point of me sitting in a physical studio if I'm the only one of two or three or four people on the show that's in a professional studio? And I don't think that we would make sense to limit ourselves to local guests only. And we're certainly not at a point where millions of people listen to us so that we should have people traveling to come, sit in our studio. And you know what?
I do think a
I don't
lot of
know. I'm
people
okay
do
with
end
that
up
not
traveling to
happening.
Houston.
Yeah,
I do think
so
a
it's
lot of
still a
people end up traveling
possibility, and
using
in
so
fact,
yeah. But we can just have them come to your
we have
house
been offered
or
the
mine.
use of a podcast studio that's not specifically ours, but that's still something that we could explore. But also last year at that time, I had no idea that we were going to do OT SCADA CON, so that obviously became kind of a huge priority and a big part of the
Time.
efforts that we did last year.
Yeah.
Yeah, it did take a lot of time.
It
Uh
was fruitful though.
and it still does. It was. Can you talk a little bit about OT SCADACon, Allie, and like what inspired you to start that and what is it if people don't already know?
Sure. So it's a community conference. Me and Nikki have spoke at Ignition Community Conference, and like we love community stuff, or trying to build community. So like the word community is definitely part of a word I would use to describe the conference we're trying to build, because you're trying to get there to become part of a community and for these people to meet each other. But basically, I noticed a long time ago that recruiters didn't know the difference between the different types of automation engineers. And so like I know that is like that people get confused. And even myself, like before I was doing SCADA, I really believed that because I could do like HMI stuff that I was like, oh yeah, I already know the SCADA stuff. Like that's not the same thing. And so like I feel like this is a way to expand. Like if you're already kind of like interested or you're in this space and you're trying to meet people, it's a twofold thing. It's to discover things that might be your passion that you didn't know, and a massive networking opportunity, because maybe that's stuff that you need for your project that you don't want to do. And this is another way for you to meet the people that are like, they live and breathe that thing. And so whether or not you just want to learn that thing and become, that as like your job, or you just want to know who to go to do something, that's kind of what this is for. And so the speakers are, most of them have their own businesses. So they're entrepreneurial. They value collaboration, and that's why they're doing this. And so they, they're very open people, and they're educators, but they're also people that have used these technologies like in the field. So whether they were a technician, an electrician, or an engineer, or none of those, like, because it's possible that, D, all of the above, you can come here and meet other people that are like you, and then meet other people, and learn about things that you may not know, and you may not know that you love them. Because I think a lot of people, like I come from process side. So I have never as a job programmed a robot and implemented a vision system. Okay. I am process controls. Like I did PLC all day, HMI all day, SCADA all day. I can design, a pump skid. I can size you a heat exchanger. I can do P&IDs all day long, but I don't know anything. I did take a FANUC like intro class, and my mind was blown. I was like, okay, this is cool. Like I just felt, I don't know, felt super smart because I was, able to cross over there and understand what they're doing. I was like, oh, okay. Like motion instructions is nothing like process, programming. It's because we're doing like PID loops, and like, it's not the same. It's not motion. I don't give a shit about acceleration. Like I just care about hertz and turning a motor on. I don't use steppers or servos or encoders. Like I use full blown, like turning on and off induction AC motors. Like so I know a lot about VFDs, but I don't know a lot about, servo drives and the controllers for that. So that's why I knew, I think in lists, because I'm, whatever, neurodivergent, autistic, ADHD, whatever you want to call it. And this just like made sense to me. And like to do the topics that I picked made sense to me, because like it's kind of, split up between process, machine, or motion and stuff, and then like all the the software. And so between all of that, like that is like the world that SCADA kind of, it's the umbrella. SCADA is the umbrella, but basically anything that could connect to SCADA, the technologies behind that, even safety is a thing. But yeah, so we have process safety and machine safety and vision systems and robotics as, their own sections. But yeah, it's all the things, and the speakers are from everywhere. Some of them are from Pakistan, Canada. They're almost all Americans, but they've all, yeah, diverse backgrounds. Yeah, they're not all engineers. Like some of them are master electricians. Some of them are technicians. They're just really good at one or two couple things. And they're willing to speak about that topic, and they're willing to have you pick their brain. And I did notice that there were some people that felt like they shouldn't, or they felt intimidated. That was it. They felt intimidated by like the smarts. And I did want a high density of like smarts like together. But I felt that when I was at Josh Varghese's Trace Route Con. And I was like, holy shit, like there's a lot of smart people in this room. And together it just like freaks you out because you can feel that energy, because like, and everybody's just like wants to do something or learn, and everyone is a builder. And we build stuff out there, and we are collaborators and builders, and like, so concentrating that many smart people with that sense of community is like very powerful. And I felt that at his, and I wanted that for us. I felt that I was like, I want that for us. And we did it. We freaking did it. We filled our little room. We did it at Phoenix Contact, and people really liked it. But like the biggest compliment to me was Josh saying, and a couple other people basically saying two things. One is they've never had a family before, like outside of their immediate, like wife and kids, before they had OT SCADA CON community. Cause like we do talk all the time, like with each other and about anything, regular life and or automation, like we mix it together. That the speakers, when they're up there and they would freeze, and sometimes they would because they're not all professional speakers, that audience and other speakers would like lift them up and support them and just, basically say like, you've got this. Like it was really weird, like not typical for our industry, because, engineer types try to tear each other down usually, especially like if one guy is saying something wrong, like it's just kind of like the way to kind of just be like, no, you're wrong. And, this is the truth, whatever. And like, it wasn't aggressive like that. It could have been, and it wasn't. And it was just really, really cool, that camaraderie. So we definitely were able to build something that nobody else has anything like. And, I'm proud of that. And I think it's just going to continue to grow. More people will join, but like we had a ton of sponsors. We gave a ton of hardware away. I love giving hardware away. I love getting hardware. So I know what it's like to just be like, I like to play with controllers, and I'm going to build a Texas size PLC wall in my new house. But I know that I love that stuff, and like other engineers love that stuff. So we're going to get sensors, hard PLCs, like all kinds of automation hardware to give away to you guys. As raffle items. Like there was so much stuff that everyone took something, even if it was just like a really cool backpack that says sick on it or ABB. There were beautiful like swag items, like, and hats, and just, that stuff has always made me excited. I've always liked certain brands. Like I love Phoenix Contact. It's really cool. It's really cool.
Ashley still travels.
You should come.
Ashley still travels with her sick backpack.
Oh,
yeah, it's a really good brand apparently. Like it's a backpack that she would have bought on her own if she had a choice. So that was really cool.
Yeah,
and
engineers like nice things. No, just kidding.
We like good
well,
backpacks.
it's nice to be given nice things, right? Like
yeah, we're gonna do it
the
again.
Cool thing, so this was, a lot of it was inspired by Josh, and like props to Josh for putting on such a great training, and I guess being such a community-minded kind of guy that his customers and his people signed up for the training, started calling it Trace Route Con, and he ran with it. And it gave us the FOMO to want to come. And even though I had no business sitting in a 2-day network engineering training, he let me come anyway. And I felt that power of those people in the room. I mean, Caitlin Young was there, which we are trying to salvage the audio from her episode that we recorded last year. Typical automation ladies fashion. We got all kinds of issues with our recordings and stuff. And so Trevor over at Industry Sage Media is, bless his heart, trying to make it something that people can listen to. So Courtney was one of our speakers. In fact, one of our most loved speakers at OT SCADA CON last year. In the anonymous feedback of whose sessions people loved, I think yours was mentioned probably the most. And Courtney, you're a really experienced speaker at conferences. What was your feeling about OT SCADA CON versus like other places that you've spoken before?
Oh, it was way easier to speak at OT SCADA CON. The room, the size of the room, I think this year was like this last year was really good. And I think if we go a little bit larger, like it's still a good size crowd for.
We better make sure that the AV works this time though, because we can't just shout at 100 people. We can
Can't
shout
just
at 50
scream at
people.
100 people. See, it's funny.
Oh.
I laugh whenever people have a microphone failure because I'm just.
But luckily, one is more important than the other.
Yeah, I can also project.
Yeah, I can it doesn't matter. I mean, if it's a room full of 1,000 people, we got a problem. But like a room full of 100, 200 people, I can scream at you for 30 minutes. You won't like me very much, but I can do it.
I did find out something though. It is very hard to have a full voice for karaoke.
I started picking new karaoke songs
at people all day.
Like I'm writing stuff down. I was like, oh yeah, I want to sing this one.
Public
like, or I'm like, no, I can't sing this one. Like it's too high pitched or low pitched. Like,
yeah, thankfully it's supposed to be bad because that was definitely my worst karaoke performance ever. Partially my fault. Partially it was
We can do that. We
did fine. You just couldn't hear the actual cue.
I couldn't hear
everybody was so loud. Yeah, that you couldn't hear where you were in the song, which is hard.
Like butchering is part of it.
Yeah, I did not. I have not. I really should get a list together and actually practice singing them and make sure I can, because I seem to pick a new one every time and butcher it every time.
I really don't think either of those things is a requirement, to be honest, for karaoke.
No, that's true. And we can't let David Garcia go
sober
anywhere near the beginning anymore because he's a professional singer and he's amazing. But that's another thing that that Allie and I experienced at Traceroute Con that was new to us, which was going to karaoke with a bunch of engineers. And it certainly was a once in a lifetime.
There was no atmosphere. Everyone was like, nope.
Cold open a karaoke room where everyone is standing up against the wall and just looking at you awkwardly. Totally sober.
We did it.
And clearly not wanting to, there was like no atmosphere whatsoever. And of course, Allie she like puts on the Spice Girls and I have no choice but to join her. And we had the best time. Yeah, that was huge. So we made karaoke.
You have to set the standards sometimes for the level of F's you're supposed to be giving right now. It's like, all of you are giving way too many. The number needs to come down.
Since then, I have been to karaoke a couple more times. So there was obviously OT SCADA CON karaoke last year. And then last year also at IMTS, Jim Mayer hosted a karaoke night that I went to. But because I was contracted to speak at IMTS and I was again talking all day and I had almost lost my voice already, I unfortunately could not participate in the karaoke. I lip synced real hard to try to be a hype woman for everybody else that was karaokeing. And I danced, but I also got to experience and hear Megan Zimba do karaoke. She's unfortunately very good at it. And she has a song that she sings.
It's not unfortunate, but don't go first.
Unfortunate for me.
Yeah,
not unfortunate for her.
Let a few bad people go, and then you can go.
And we are extremely lucky enough to have both Megan and Jim attending OT SCADA CON this year. So karaoke will be lit. And then, we've been kind of... and David Garcia, who can sing Amy Winehouse, and I would have he's like her equal. It's insane. And then we found out, I guess after OT SCADA CON last year, that we've become pretty good friends with some of these speakers and community members. But Frank Lamb also has a band. He's put out an album. He's an extremely talented musician.
I'm pretty sure Caleb has Thermite
singer.
Too, and so does Scott. So we'll figure it out.
Around the idea of having some sort of house band deal during dinner, or just let people kind of jam sessions.
It's an explosive. It's an explosive. Yeah.
So
it blows up really cool colors with magnesium. That's why they play with it.
Gun shooting.
They like to blow shit up in Texas.
To work that into the official.
We need to make it a week-long event. Is what we need to do.
Yeah, that's what the magnesium. Do you ever see Breaking Bad? That was Thermite.
What is that? That's blow stuff up.
Let's go to Texas and have a Texas experience.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's what I've seen.
I think
Yeah,
it's
but I've
vector
seen like the cool
controls and
colorful
automation. But yeah.
explode. Like that's all the thermite videos I've seen. It's like, look, yeah.
Our hosts for this year are Vector Automation and Controls Group. Vector Controls and Automation Group. I don't, sorry, Vector guys.
Yeah.
It's some combination of that.
I think
And
it's vector controls and automation. But yeah.
yeah, yeah. And they have their headquarters, or no, their headquarters here in Houston is co-located with Enders Hauser, and they have a beautiful campus down south of Houston that we visited. Allie and I and Anna, one of my developers from Copium at the time, who came from Poland. And we were generously just invited for a visit there by a gentleman named Larry Sims. And lo and behold, they have this huge training facility and just offered us to host the con. But I know, Allie, you were pretty stoked about that facility because it has a really big process training unit. Do you want to talk a little bit about that? How cool is that for someone like you to
Yeah.
hang
So
around?
it has I got like really impressed once in a cheese plant in New Mexico because of all of the like stainless everywhere, and it was actually really clean. But yeah, so this is like a beautiful like stainless piping everywhere, and like those like blue Endreshauser transmitter heads everywhere. So it's just reeks of money. Like I really like that's really beautiful. So
And they do
that's
have their own little mini brewery too.
Did they
They
cut
have
me
some
off?
brewing
I have like
equipment,
crappy
and they make
signal.
their yeah. Yeah, so I thought that was really cool. They gave us their own beer when we went there for a visit because they have a little
They're process
microbrewery
people.
set up on site. Yeah, yeah, they are. And so that's pretty exciting. And then they turned out to be a rep for Phoenix Contact. So Phoenix Contact friends are still invited. Everybody's invited. Here's the thing. So OT SCADA CON is totally vendor agnostic, but we appreciate. So it was Josh's connection that he thought, hey, maybe Phoenix Contact would want to offer you a location because we were looking at I was looking for conference places. I found this conference place by the airport that I thought would be kind of nice. But they turned out to have a scheduling conflict with us. And so the idea of being at a vendor experience center is something new for a conference like this. And I loved it. I loved having the demos, having the technology on the wall behind us while we were doing our thing. I think it adds another dimension that you don't get in a hotel ballroom or whatever, like these just generic places that we go to. It is constraining in size, right? So I don't think we're ever going to be able to have 600 person conference or 1,000 person conference in a place like that. But at the same time, OT SCADA CON isn't about that. It's more quality over quantity anyway. But what I wanted to say about that is it has been interesting because some sponsors don't want to sponsor us because we're at their competitor's location, which I just think is kind of hilarious because I'm like, in what other instance do you get a chance to plaster your logo all over your competitor's building? How do you not see that as an opportunity?
Hello.
And maybe that's just my abundance mindset versus the scarcity mindset of oh no, I there's conflict here. But I thought that was kind of funny. And so I'm sorry to all the sponsors that are missing out because you're scared of your competition. We're not scared. I think there's
Yeah, you shouldn't be
a lot more
either,
to be
but
gained.
do you, boo?
Yeah. Yeah, you do you and we do us, and we're not for everyone, that's for sure. Both the show and the con and everything else, right?
No, we're not.
And that's okay. We did go to another community conference earlier this year called the Prove It Conference, which is run by a totally different community that's been around longer than we have and is more formal and official. And that was a really interesting experience to kind of come into somebody else's community. And even though
They
there were
swear as
some
much as we
details to the
do.
conference and things,
Yeah.
they swear more than we do.
Yeah, there was a lot of F-bombs, but I felt comfortable.
I felt comfortable in that too.
Yeah.
Ladies, junior board of directors, if you're listening to this, we apologize for the occasional adult language in this show. We do want to be good role models. But I think one of the things that you learn is there's application for everything. So as you get older, you can choose to maybe apply these words or not.
Pick and choose where to apply.
But they're not for children.
Right.
But that was also, I was surprised at how much I felt like there was just this, independent of the organizers even, there was a huge community feeling to all the people buzzing around the floor, meeting each other, that have been part of some online community before they got a chance to get together and put their heads together and make solutions together, and that sort of stuff. It was totally different from our concept of a conference. The vendors are actually there to present their solutions, whereas at OT SCADA CON, we want the vendors to provide support and their tech, but not come present stuff, because the presenters are really the doers of the thing, not the sellers of the thing. But that doesn't mean there isn't value in something, and I really appreciated that as a new format of an industry conference as well, is to hold the
It was cool.
presenters, if there are going to be vendors, to some sort of standards of what they present, the transparency and what they're putting together. They all kind of worked on a specific solution set, and they had guidelines of what they had to put together. But the one thing that kind of, I guess, did stand in contrast is one of the speakers didn't follow the rules, and they got put down pretty heavily.
It
Which
was
maybe,
brutal.
I feel like we would be disapproving of somebody not following the rules at our conference too. But I feel like we would have been slightly nicer about it, maybe.
Yeah, they
But
made
there's
it
different
clear
personalities.
integrity was extremely important in that moment.
Yeah, yeah. But I really appreciated what they did, and I think we'll go again next year. And I think, any community that authentically stands by what they're about and puts something together that is for them and by them, I think is a huge kind of moment in our industry right now for people to do, not just from, the top down kind of commercially, we're trying to sell the best tech. It's like, and people learning in isolation and just through paid classes through their employers, right? There's so much more opportunity now for people to enrich themselves and their careers and their connections independently of what their job has to offer, or maybe some of what these big shows are doing. So anyway,
Are there other
I don't know,
shows that are
got off on a tangent
digital
there.
transformation like conferences? Because I think that is like the digital transformation conference.
Yeah, I don't think I
Yeah, it
know.
probably is. I think there's one that we were potentially going to participate in as a media partner last year called MX.0 or something of that nature. And I think the particular conference that we were going to be part of, they actually didn't have enough participation, so they canceled, but they're doing it again this year. And I believe that they're focused on digital transformation, but it's a much smaller conference and it is a different format. It's like there's only solutions providers that are presenting, and then the attendees are all end user manufacturers, I believe. So
I should also probably withdraw any comments too, because in automation and robotics, like I'm there looking for conferences, trying to find them and stuff, and in that I'm just like, I don't know, if it hasn't come across me, then I don't know of it really.
Yeah. But Courtney, you're heading to Boston soon for a
Yes.
robotics summit, right? Can you tell us a little bit about what you're doing up there?
So it's robotics summit. I'm going mostly because mass robotics is over there, and I really actually just enjoy being present in that place, even if just to drink coffee, because it's full of a lot of creative energy.
Yeah.
And I just really like the sense of community they have there. And they're basically like a robotics startup company incubator. So they end up using like community resources. It's almost like the robotics version of like doing HR with a PEO, where you're like, hi, I have
Okay.
almost like the power of a big company,
Yeah.
as a startup, but they get to kind of take advantage of, the community pool of resources over there. And I think what they've done is a cool thing. So I just like going over there to be present. And then Robotics Summit it looks like it's going to be cool. It's my first time going. I know last year Megan actually interviewed Joyce, one of the co-founders over there.
Oh, okay.
And it was a cool interview. And at that time, I don't remember what I had going on, but I couldn't go. And it really gave me some FOMO. And I'm actually glad.
I also had a conflict. Like there was a different conference or something at the exact same
there was
time.
another conference, I think. I can't remember now what it was, but
Was it the Assembly Show South, possibly? Because I feel like we were in Nashville.
It might have been. I can't remember because I had something I had already like financially committed to and bought tickets to and everything, and I just couldn't do it.
Yeah.
And I can't.
So I mean, there are too many shows in a year to attend them all, for sure, and we understand that. And I think we probably go to more of them than most people would be able to, because we get the opportunity to do stuff.
Though, I'm always like, oh, I really wanted to see that.
Yeah, but at the same time, you also wanna be home with your kids sometimes.
Yeah.
And I struggle a lot with that, right? Like, I
I
want
can't wait till they're old enough to walk shows. They won't
yeah.
care. They won't want to, but
I went to my first trade show when I was in middle school, I think, with my dad. So, my dad used to go to a seafood show in Boston that happened to coincide with our spring break most of the time.
nice.
And so one year, the whole family went up there for spring break and it was like snowing. And I got to walk the seafood show floor for a little bit. And I loved it. I mean, it was just super cool to see. We got swag and we got this one like knife that I remember we just had in our kitchen for forever after that. It was because it's like fish processing. They gave away some sort of, fish knife. Um,
Ooh,
so
that's what I found
but
out.
I do remember that trip, along with a business trip that I was able to take with my dad to Boston at a separate occasion when I was a little bit older, um, really played a big part, I think, in me realizing that I wanted to do some sort of customer facing type role where I got a chance to do that kind of stuff, go have business meetings with people, go to trade shows. So I think it planted a bit of a seed for me. And may or may not do that for our kids, but I'm also excited about the opportunity to bring my kids to these things. Which is why also I'm super excited that the junior board of directors are coming to Automate this year. And we get to meet you guys in person. If you're listening, I don't expect that you listen to every episode of ours. But if they are listening, Hank Pruim's daughters up in Canada, we're stoked to meet you. And we're going to have some cool surprise stuff to do. So if you are going to be at Automate, you should also come find us, come see us. WinTech has a booth, and I think that's kind of going to be maybe the anchor place where you may be able to find us when we're not in the Automate Live studio. And then Allie and Courtney, I'm sure, will be out and about more on the show floor, checking stuff out. Maybe we can do some interviews in booths, or we're still figuring out exactly what our game plan is aside from our previously sort of the things we've committed to, which is doing interviews in the Automate Live studio, as well as my exhibitor role. And then this year, I am also, for the first time ever, going to be participating in Educator Day, which I think is on a Tuesday. There's a whole day program for educators. And we're going to be meeting up with Danny Murphy, who won A3 Educator of the Year award last year. He's a professor at the Central Virginia Community College. If you don't know him and haven't followed him on LinkedIn, I highly suggest you do. He has great video content from his classes. Right now, he's having them, his robotic students used AI to create hot sauce recipes that then he had the culinary students make the hot sauce. And then he's having the university faculty taste the hot sauce to determine like who's the winner. And then we probably have a hot sauce related automation project coming into the works after this whole section of it. So that's pretty exciting. And yeah, I do want to thank Automate for sponsoring automation. We should. Part of me when Sticker Mule offered like they sell white labeled hot sauce, I was like, we could do this. That's just not my favorite hot sauce. It's too sweet, in my opinion. So yeah, we should make our own at some point. I think so I will take the Militiam hot sauce from Drew Horsley and white label that because that is so far my favorite hot sauce that I've ever had. And it's made by somebody in our industry. He's a recruiter. He's not going to be at Automate this year, unfortunately, but if you're lucky enough to be going to ICC this year, the Inductive Community Conference, he will be there. He will have hot sauce. You should go find him and get that hot sauce. Hi, Ari. Oh, we had a little visitor there. That's okay. So I think we're coming up on time. We've been recording for about close to an hour. We're waving at Courtney's daughter there if you're listening to this on the audio. Thank you for your patience, Ari, while we do stuff like this. We appreciate you letting us hang out with your mom.
Thanks, Ari.
So I guess, yeah, we should wrap this up. Anything else you guys feel like our audience should know or we should catch them up on, or anything that they should be looking forward to that you guys are thinking about that I haven't droned on about already?
Nope.
I think you're just gonna start getting shown Uno cards here.
Uno, all right. One of my favorite
Check it out,
games.
Ari.
I love playing card games.
This is my boyfriend, Ari.
I'm looking forward to you visiting us in Houston, Ari, and we can play some Uno together.
Oh yes. We're going to visit. It's going to filter you out, honey. She can't find the right spot.
Okay, so if you're listening on the audio podcast, Ari's showing some Uno cards, but because Courtney has a virtual background, she's kind of going in and out. And okay, that is a virtual background provided by who? How do you get that on here when we're on StreamYard? Is it provided by StreamYard, I guess? Because I feel like I've seen that on Zoom meetings.
Yeah, if you go into settings under virtual background, I threw it on there one episode, and it has stayed on ever since.
Okay, so it's
see it,
in
Ari.
StreamYard, but it's this house with like a stone fireplace and a piano. And the first time I saw that virtual background, it was Dave Griffith from the Manufacturing Hub Network show with Dave and Vlad. And I thought that he said that it was somewhere that he had been before and that was like a picture. And I misunderstood it or something. But then now every time I see somebody use that background, I'm like, oh, you're at Dave's house.
That's awesome.
That's so funny.
At one point we had two people on the same stream with the same background. I was like, this is tripping me out. You're not in the same house, but you look like you are.
Oh shit.
So
are you in the Bahamas?
You're like, yeah. You're at Dave's house a lot.
Fully unfiltered. I know. Everybody's at Dave's house all the time. All these strangers. Dave has got to be the best host ever. We do appreciate our friends that make content. It's hard. It's not easy all the time. It is fun, but it's a lot of work. And so I think I've gained a bigger appreciation for everybody in our industry that has that makes the effort to make content, because it's not super lucrative and it is a lot of work. And so I would encourage you, if you're not already, check out Manufacturing Hub with Dave and Vlad, and Mavens of Manufacturing with Megan Zimba. And there's a bunch of other cool people making content in the industry. And as we've become, closer with them, so Vlad is a speaker at OT SCADA CON this year, which we're stoked to have him coming all the way from Canada. Like, he's not the only one. Brandon Peters also comes from Canada to come. And we got lucky and met Vlad when we went to go visit Azrael's headquarters in Minnesota. And we got to go to the Mall of America and get soaked on the log ride. And we just had a demo with CJ, the engineer, that got so soaked that he had to go buy new clothes literally after we went on that ride. We did a demo on the live on LinkedIn Live yesterday of some of their technology, which is really cool. Vlad happened to be in town and he came to the mall and he had dinner with us. And it's really cool because, like, a lot of us in this industry travel, and it's nice to be able to, like, be in a new city, maybe working a commissioning job or, doing some client work. And you're like, hey, you're in town. Oh, let's meet up and have dinner. And you're going to meet those types of people if you come to OT SCADA CON, the kind that will meet up with you for dinner if you're in town. We also met, I was just in Birmingham, Alabama a couple of days ago, had breakfast with one of our speakers, Patrick Bunn. And so we would love to meet you for breakfast or lunch or dinner sometime. If you're a listener, if you're part of our community, DM us or something. Let's be friends and we want to hang out. So with that, thank you so much for being part of our community. Thank you so much for listening to the show. If you have any feedback for us, you can send us messages on our website. It's automationladies.io. And please try to get your tickets to OT SCADA CON before they sell out. We are only admitting 100 people, and we're about 70% sold out. And the website for that to get tickets is www.otscada.com. And tickets are still on sale. And we'd love to see you. We'd love to meet you. And if you're not going to be at OT SCADA CON, but you're going to be at Automate or Robotics Expo up in Boston, and we have several other shows that we're probably going to be going to this year, please come, meet up with us. We love it when we meet listeners of the show, although it does feel a little weird that, you have heard us and you may feel like you know us and we don't know you. But trust me, we want to know you. So yeah, that's all I got, I think. So thank you guys. It's nice to catch up, and I look forward to talking to lots of cool people this season. And if you guys want to be guests on the show, also hit us up for that. You can send us an email at hello@automationladies.io. Alrighty, with that, see you next time. Bye.